Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech, where we like to blend casual conversations with some hopefully insightful discussions on the latest in technology and gadgets, all the fun stuff. And today we're diving deep into some pretty fascinating areas, from quantum computing breakthroughs to the always kind of wild world of venture capital. And of course, we have a little dose of tech drama, right? So we'll be touching on the TikTok saga and even some international tech drama with NVIDIA.
Sounds like a good mix to me. It never gets boring in the tech world, that's for sure.
No, it really doesn't. I mean, it's just amazing how tech manages to touch like every single aspect of our lives these days, right?
For better or for worse.
I know, right? It's moving so fast, too. I was just reading about this new quantum chip.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one.
It can solve a problem in minutes that would take even the most powerful supercomputer, like 10 septillion years. Like 10 with 24 zeros after it.
It's kind of hard to even wrap your head around numbers that big.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's not just like a speed bump, That's a whole different dimension of computing power. We're talking about random circuit sampling here.
Random circuit sampling. Break that down for me a little bit.
Sure. So it's essentially a benchmark test for quantum computers, kind of a way to measure their capabilities. Yeah. And what's really fascinating is that the speed difference, it's not just some theoretical thing, It actually translates to real-world problems, things that could directly impact our lives.
Okay, so less about the theoretical, drag race of supercomputers and more about what this means for, say, healthcare or something like that.
Exactly. Give me an example.
Imagine developing life-saving drugs in a fraction of the time it currently takes. That could lead to breakthroughs in treating diseases like cancer or Alzheimer's. Think about the impact that could have on you, your family, everyone.
Yeah, that puts it in perspective.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It really highlights how this tech is going from sci-fi to, well, maybe life-saving in a surprisingly short time.
Yeah.
And I read that quantum computing could also, supercharge AI, which is already making waves everywhere you look.
Absolutely. It's one of the most exciting areas of research right now. Quantum computing could be the key to unlocking even more powerful AI, particularly in areas like generative AI. We're talking about AI that could design entirely new materials or model complex systems like financial markets or climate patterns.
It's hard to even fathom what that could look like.
Right.
We're talking about AI that could help us solve some of the biggest challenges facing humanity.
Wow, that's a lot to wrap your head around. From revolutionizing healthcare to pushing the boundaries of AI, it seems like quantum computing has the potential to really shake things up. But you know what else is always shaking things up? The world of venture capital. I hear the VC landscape is undergoing some pretty significant shifts these days. It really is. It's becoming what some people are calling a barbell market, with these massive mega funds on one side and smaller, highly specialized firms on the other.
Okay, so for those of us who aren't deep in the VC world, what's the key difference here? How do these mega funds operate compared to the smaller, more specialized ones?
Well, mega funds operate a bit like index funds in the stock market. They spread their investments across a huge number of startups, particularly in the early stages, hoping that a few of them will turn into those massive unicorn-like successes.
So they're casting a wide net, kind of playing the odds a bit. But what about those specialized firms?
Right.
What makes them different?
Specialized firms are more like expert talent scouts. They focus on specific industries or niches where they have deep knowledge and connections. They're looking for those hidden gems, the startups that might be overlooked by the mega funds but have the potential to be real game changers.
It seems like there's a growing trend of founders wanting investors who are more than just check writers these days. They want people who genuinely understand their vision and are actively involved in their company's journey.
Yeah, that's a really important point. There's a growing emphasis on finding investors who are truly aligned with a startup's mission and values. And these specialized firms are often well-positioned to provide that kind of deep partnership and mentorship.
So where are we seeing these specialized firms popping up? Any particular hubs of activity?
Austin's a hotbed right now. It's always been a center for innovation, especially in areas like applied AI and healthcare. And we're seeing a lot of specialized firms emerging there, focused on these cutting-edge sectors.
Definitely. So you've got quantum computing pushing the boundaries of what's possible, and a VC landscape that's evolving to support both those big bets and those hyper-focused startups.
Yeah.
But, no tech roundup would be complete without a little bit of drama, right? And lately the spotlight's been on TikTok.
Oh, yeah. It's been quite the saga. The debate over whether TikTok is a harmless social media app or a national security threat is far from over.
It seems like everyone's got an opinion on it.
Yeah.
But what are the specific concerns that have led to all this scrutiny? What's the core of the issue here?
Well, the U.S. government's primary concern stems from the fact that TikTok's parent company ByteDance is based in China. They worry about the potential for the Chinese government to access and misuse user data. It's a question of data security and privacy on a massive scale.
But is there any concrete evidence of this happening? Or is it more a case of what ifs and potential risks?
That's the interesting part. The U.S. government hasn't publicly presented any concrete evidence of data misuse yet. Their argument is that they need to act proactively to prevent potential harm, not wait for something to happen before taking action.
But that raises some pretty big questions, doesn't it? Does a ban based on hypothetical threats set a dangerous precedent for regulating any foreign-owned digital platform? And what about the millions of people who use and enjoy TikTok? Where do they fit into all of this?
Those are all valid points. The legal and ethical implications are complex. The Supreme Court might ultimately have to weigh in, balancing national security concerns with freedom of speech and the right to access information.
It's a case with potentially far-reaching consequences. Speaking of international tech drama, I was reading about NVIDIA, the chip-making powerhouse, and how they're caught in the middle of this U.S.-China tech rivalry.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
I'm curious to get your take on this one.
Sure. It's a fascinating illustration of how intertwined global tech has become and how geopolitical tensions can spill over into the business world. The U.S. has restricted the sale of NVIDIA's most advanced chips to China, citing concerns about those chips being used to enhance China's military capabilities.
So how has China responded to these restrictions? I imagine they're not just sitting back and accepting this.
They're not. China has retaliated by limiting exports of critical minerals like gallium and germanium, which are essential for making those very same semiconductors. It's a high-stakes game of technological leverage, with each side trying to gain an advantage.
So NVIDIA is right in the crosshairs of this struggle.
They are, and it's not just NVIDIA. Companies like Micron and ASML, key players in the semiconductor industry, are facing similar challenges. This trend of using trade policy as a weapon in the fight for tech dominance, it's something we're likely to see more of in the future.
That's a little unsettling to think about.
It is.
That something like a computer chip could become such a flashpoint in global politics.
Yeah, it really underscores how technology, has become such a focal point in international relations these days.
Yet it's a bit unsettling to think that something like a computer chip could become a flashpoint in global politics.
I know what you mean, but that's the reality we're facing. Technology is now seen as a strategic asset, a key factor in economic and military power.
So what does this all mean for the average person? Someone who just wants to enjoy the latest tech without getting caught up in a geopolitical tug of war. Does this mean we're heading towards a world with separate tech ecosystems, one aligned with the U.S. and the other with China?
It's a possibility we can't ignore. This trend towards decoupling, it could lead to a more fragmented internet, different standards for technology, and potentially even restricted access to certain products or services based on where you live. It's a complex issue with no easy answers.
It definitely makes you think about the choices we make as consumers and how those choices might be influenced by factors beyond just our personal preferences.
Yeah, for sure.
It feels like technology is becoming increasingly intertwined with politics and global power dynamics.
Absolutely. And that's why I think it's so important to stay informed about these issues, to understand the forces at play, and to engage in the thoughtful conversations about the kind of technological future we want to create.
Well said. It's been a pretty intense journey so far, from the mind-bending potential of quantum computing to the high-stakes drama of international tech rivalries. Are there any emerging technologies on the horizon that you're particularly excited about? Maybe something a bit more optimistic.
Let me think. I'm really intrigued by the advancements in synthetic biology. Scientists are now able to engineer organisms to do some incredible things, like producing biofuels or creating entirely new materials. It's almost like programming life itself.
Whoa, okay, that does sound pretty amazing. It's like something out of a science fiction movie. Growing houses out of living materials or creating personalized medicines tailored to your specific DNA.
Exactly. The possibilities are truly mind-boggling. Imagine a world where we can harness the power of biology to create sustainable solutions to some of our biggest challenges, from climate change to resource scarcity.
That's a powerful thought. It's both exciting and a bit daunting to think about the potential, but also the ethical considerations that come with such powerful technologies.
Oh, absolutely. As with any powerful technology, it's crucial to proceed with caution, to carefully consider the potential risks and benefits, and to have open and honest conversations about how we want to shape this future.
It all circles back to the importance of staying informed, engaging in these discussions, and being mindful of the choices we make as individuals and as a society.
Precisely. The future of technology isn't predetermined. It's shaped by the decisions we make today.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from quantum leaps to tech rivalries, and even a glimpse into a future where we might be growing houses out of mushrooms. What are your key takeaways from all of this?
I think the biggest takeaway for me is that technology is no longer just about gadgets and gizmos. It's a powerful force shaping our world, influencing everything from our personal lives to global politics and economics.
And it's moving at an incredible pace, which can feel overwhelming at times.
Yeah,
It'd be hard
devastating.
to keep up.
It absolutely can. But that's why it's crucial to stay curious, to keep learning, and to engage in thoughtful conversations about the role of technology in our lives and in the world around us.
Well said. It's been a fascinating and thought-provoking discussion. Before we sign off, I want to leave our listeners with a question to ponder. We've talked about all these incredible advancements, from quantum computing to synthetic biology, but what does all this mean for you personally?
How is your relationship with technology evolving? What excites you? What concerns you?
These are questions worth reflecting on, because ultimately, the future of tech is shaped by the choices we make both individually and collectively. Yeah, it's been quite a journey exploring the world of tech with you today.
It really has. And like you said earlier, we've only just scratched the surface here.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much more to discover and discuss.
That's the beauty of it, right? Technology is constantly evolving, always pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And it's up to us, I guess, to stay engaged, to keep learning and exploring.
I couldn't agree more. And to remember that technology at its core, it's a tool. It's up to us to use it wisely and responsibly to shape a better future.
Well said. Well, folks, that's about all the tech we can cram into your brains for one episode. Thanks for tuning in to Byte-Sized Tech. If you enjoyed the episode, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions.